Welcome to the Legal Podcast Network. This is Enterprise Unleashed, Business, Law, and Innovation. My name is Richard Corey, and this is my show. Today, we have two very special guests, two very powerful, inspiring, very successful leaders in the industry, in their own respective industries, each standing 848 feet tall. First, I'd like to introduce to you one of my very good friends. I've known her since high school. Let me introduce to you Olivia Thompson. You may also know her as Olivia Smalley. She is the beauty industry's leading digital content provider. Also known as the social queen, she's a published celebrity hair and makeup artist with small names like Nick Jonas or Paris Hilton. She has vast experience in the beauty industry. You've seen her on billboards. You've seen her in magazines. You've seen her as the face to your favorite brands. When I tell you that the viral videos, the content that this woman is putting out is really innovating for the industry. She also started a school to teach people how to become brands in it for themselves. She shares secrets to success. And when it comes to anything in social media, this is the person to talk to. That's Olivia. Now, I'd also like to introduce to you Miss Ibis Luis. She's a cigar sommelier and a certified bourbon steward. Now, what is a cigar sommelier? What Ibis does is she travels around the world and is a consultant both for consumers and manufacturers of the world's top cigars. She basically gets paid to go around and discuss the industry, the market and niche of the cigar world. She's considered the number one influencer when it comes to the cigar industry in the world by many magazines, including Cigar Snob magazine. She has a vast client base. She has a vast fan base or social media base. She has over 100,000 followers, 112,000 followers, I believe. And she's been on billboards and magazines just alike. I want to welcome both ladies. Today's episode is episode 3 called The Business of Me. And I'm blessed to have these two wonderful women here to talk about how to brand yourself within the social media world. So, Ibis, let's go ahead and start with you. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned everything. I love cigars. I love whiskey. It's been my passion for a very long time. Actually, it's going to be 15 years in the cigar industry. So yeah, it's just beautiful how we can pair whiskey and cigar in a way that I always say it brings people together, right? So basically, like what we have on social media that we get the chance to meet so many great people. We do with cigars when you go to a cigar lounge, where you work in an event, when you're doing a tasting. So for me, cigar is a huge part of my life. I would say 99% of my life, because then, always smoking cigar, mingle with people, talking about cigars, and whiskey is just amazing. The whole Scotch bourbon. So the main part of my life, honestly, the whole whiskey cigar.
Let me ask you something. What exactly is a cigar sommelier?
The cigar sommelier would tell you how you should pair your cigar. If you should do it with tea, coffee, chocolate, whiskey, wine. So obviously you should know what, know everything goes like, the first section, like red wine with steak or fish with white wine, right? So that's when I come to help, like, hey, you shouldn't pair that cigar with this wine, right? Or you should do it with this chocolate 70%. Why? It will bring more flavors. So that's when it comes my little knowledge when it comes to cigars and whiskeys that will tell you how to do it right.
So I see you've been traveling. You've been to Nicaragua, Panama, Costa Rica, all for business, all to do consulting for cigars?
Most of them, yeah. I do travel a lot for work, and that's the fun part. Yeah, if it's not whiskey, it's cigar.
And you've represented some of the biggest brands in the industry, correct?
Yes, I was honored to work with Plasencia Cigar for 6 years, and it's the oldest family-owned business in the tobacco in the world. So it was an honor, and I still consulting for them. So yeah, I have worked with very cool brand, and they trust me, and that's just the best feeling. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, so Miss Thompson, let's talk a little bit about you. How long have you been in the beauty industry?
So I've been in the beauty industry since I was actually 13 years old. So a very, very long time. My mom was actually like my first mentor ever. And I was shampooing, I was getting coffee for the little ladies at a very young age and just hustling like every single day after school. And then I decided to go to videography classes at high school, at Cooper City High School. And that's where I found my passion. And it was just mostly just me and my friends like having fun. This was way before like maybe the very beginning of YouTube, right? And we were just making videos and I loved it so much that that's what I decided to
I
go
love
to
your
school
videos.
for. Thank you. It's paid off. It's paid off in the end because when I went to college for videography, I was like, all I could do was weddings. Like I was like, no, like this is not for me. And then I left college, I came home and my mom had said, she goes, well, why don't you go to beauty school? So as soon as I graduated, beauty school was right when Instagram came out. And I was like, it's like, I kind of know what I'm doing. I kind of know how to tell a story. I kind of know attention span, how to develop virality of a video. And, you know, I got in my bathtub and I just started filming hair hacks and that's all she wrote. Like that's
Now,
the end.
you've been with some of the biggest names in the beauty industry as well, haven't you?
Yes. I've been blessed to make a lot of friends, you know, from the very jump. And that's just all about putting your neck out there and, you know, putting the blinders on and only focusing on yourself and just making those connections because it can be very scary.
So you also do some traveling for your business as well, don't you?
Yes. I just got back from
A little
Milan.
a little birdie told me you just came back from where, Milan?
It was amazing. Yes.
It was a good time?
Yes.
But you've done trade shows in Las Vegas, probably all over the country. Isn't that right?
Yes. I like the travel component of the beauty industry because even going to Milan, it's not my first time in Italy, but it's my first time there. There was the largest international beauty show in Bologna. So every brand that's someone is at this show. And there were so many brands that I've never even heard of. So not only just the exposure of other opportunities that can come domestically to the States, it was also an opportunity for me to stay international through those connections. And that was my pure intention, was to go there and network.
Nice. Ibis, do they have similar trade shows for the cigar world and in the whiskey industry?
Yes, usually it's in Vegas. So they have the two main ones twice a year. So yeah, Vegas, now they're in New Orleans. It's happening this weekend.
Are you going?
Actually, no, I have bigger plans this weekend. But it's just sometimes, you know, it get overwhelming because there's a lot of brands out there. The honest truth, I don't want to burn any bridges. People take it when you don't want to work with them. And I'm very particular. I have to trust the brand for me. You know, like my followers trust me, so I cannot share anything that I don't believe. So when you go to those trade shows, you're exposing yourself to get all this kind of like proposals, right? That maybe they don't work with your brand. So I'm very careful when it comes to that. So I always try to go to the right places at the right time. You know, it's when you expose, it's very hard, and then people take it personal. Why you don't want to work with my brand? And the honest truth, some of them are not the best. So yeah, it's just you have to keep your, you know, very professional and know with who you want to work.
Sure. So Olivia, what is Educate with Influence?
So Educate with Influence is a platform to help people who are either wanting to become educators or people who want to become influencers, or maybe you have a really good platform as an influencer, but you don't know how to make a curriculum. You don't know how to talk on stage. You don't know how to do media presence, right? Or maybe you're an actual educator and you want to learn how to create a story, how to be consistent online. So it's basically an entire platform with me and my business partner, Gina Bianca, who is also my mentor in this industry. And it's a fantastic way for you to just have the cheat code to really develop yourself as Educate with Influence.
Nice. So I want to ask you both. When it comes to personal brand development, what are some of the biggest obstacles that you faced?
It's a men industry, so obviously it's very hard to be a female in this industry. So it comes to trust, the knowledge. So I would say you have to brand yourself with a lot of, you know, respect, and you have to know what you're doing, so people have that admiration and they want to work with you. So in my case, it's very hard because it's a men industry. So it's the percent of females like 3%. So so it's been a hard path, but I'm very proud to be part of this industry. But it takes a lot to be part.
What about you, Olivia?
I think just clarity of like what you stand for as a brand. And, you know, you touched on it as well. I think some people, they need to look at their brand. So I look at OMG Artistry as an AI, right? What's her tone? What's her attitude? How does she shop? How does she look? What does she wear, right? So when I look at OMG Artistry as like this kind of AI character, it actually makes it easier to have that separation of that imposter syndrome, to not know. If you put it on paper, what is your brand? It makes it so much easier for your message. And that's how you attract your people, your tribe. That's one aspect of it. I think it's also knowing your why, because it's really easy to get caught up in the minutia of social media when it comes to that pressure, when it comes to those numbers, analytics, especially when you're working for a brand. So I always have to kind of divert back to my why. And my why is that if I do a hair hack and someone watches it and they only have like 3 minutes that day to look beautiful or feel great about themselves, then my job is done. Like that's what I always have to stem back to.
Okay, so let me ask you something. Do you find a lot of people in your industry are using business attorneys to negotiate their brand ambassador deals?
Not enough.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of working with someone, for instance, like me?
There's no disadvantage. Like I said, clarity, even clarity on legal is so important. And like fences make good neighbors, right? And there's a lot of times that I've negotiated my own deals in the very beginning that, you know, maybe didn't benefit me and it only benefited the brand. I don't know the language. We didn't have like even back in the day, lawyers like you that would even take on a beauty case because it just wasn't taken that seriously. Right?
Well, you and I have been working together for almost 10 years now.
But this was an anomaly, our relationship. There was no one that I knew as an influencer that really had a lawyer to work with, because everyone was just chasing opportunity, but they weren't chasing protection for themselves, or they weren't doing the long game. They were just trying to get that brand deal at that time.
Do you know that I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But do you know that we trademarked OMG Artistry in 2017? That was almost 10 years ago.
Wow. And
so how did you get that name, OMG Artistry?
So it was actually from my mom. She goes, I loved artistry. This was like before artistry was like a popular trending word, okay, to be clear. And she's like, what about OMG Artistry? And I go, that's dumb. And I was thinking about, I was at the salon, I was doing her hair, and I was like, actually, I like it because it's a buzzword. A lot of people say it. That's kind of how they explain beauty, and it's memorable. And my name's Olivia, so the O kind of worked out. But yeah.
Now, Ibis, you and I are also working on a trademark for Cigar Lover. How did you get that name? I've also been working with Ibis for quite a while. I've had the pleasure of working with both of you on a professional level and as friends. So it's great to have you both on the show, by the way. Thank you for being here.
No, thank you. Well, actually, it was my customers many years ago when I was in retail. They were like, hey, why you don't start sharing where you're smoking? So when I travel, I can look at your story or post and you go get the cigar. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to be on social media. That's how Cigar Lover started, because my customer requests, like, please start sharing where you're smoking so we can find whatever, if I'm in Brazil, I can go get the cigar, right? So I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know a name. And they were like, well, you love cigars, so you're a cigar lover. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, Cigar Lover it is. It was very easy. I never thought it would be what it is right now, so it was chosen by my followers in a way, my customers.
That means it's authentic then. I love it.
Yeah, it was very organic. It was like, I don't know, everybody's a cigar aficionado, cigar something. I'm like, you're just a lover. You love cigar. I'm like, that makes sense. So
what do you guys think is the importance of, given your industry as a social media influencer, your brand is essentially you. We're talking about the business of me. What is the importance of protecting your intellectual property rights, such as your trademarks, your name, your image, your likeness? How would you explain to somebody just getting into this business the importance of protecting your image, your brand, and your brand identity?
I think sometimes people just get started with this as like a hobby, and they don't realize that through consistency, this can turn into something huge, right? But you have to put those fences and those morals of what you want to be aligned with from the jump. And that's what happens is, I think sometimes people see the money of it or the opportunity of it, and they go, oh my God, this is what I want to do. And I want I want to jump on it. But the reality is you have to protect yourself. It is your face. It's not like you're selling a bottle of water or like an item, right? This is your face, and your face can make a lot of money for other people, for other brands. And if you don't have a sign off on it, or even if you only sign something, let's say you sign a 3-month contract, they would have rights to use that for 5 years to make money off of your face. You have to know these little sublines. And I didn't know that stuff. You taught me all that stuff. I didn't even think that was a thing.
Who, me?
So yeah, you.
Well, that's the good thing about having a business attorney and the importance of it. And another very important aspect is you never want to be your own mouthpiece. If you're representing the people, there's an old adage that says the person who has acts as his own attorney is a fool for a client. So when you hire an attorney, you have someone else who's the bad guy. So in other words, if we're negotiating a deal with a brand company and we're pushing for better terms, more favorable terms, more importantly, more lucrative terms, then if they don't like it, we start getting pushback. You as the client can say, hey, wait a minute, that's my attorney, that's not me. You can save face and can save the relationship and make me the bad guy. Whereas if you're representing yourself, you don't have that ability. There should always be a separation between you and the person you're dealing with, because it also provides you more leverage in the negotiation with negotiation tactics. So what are some of the red flags that you would tell other people just getting started in the industry to look out for when they're starting with their first ambassador agreements?
In my case, I would say like I mentioned before, it's very important to make sure the company have reputation, because there's a lot of little guys in this industry, whiskey and cigars. They come out with their own whiskey and they want to send you the bottle, and but you don't know what's the story behind. You don't know the distillery, you don't know how long it's been, so it's very important to know exactly with who you're doing business. It's about legacy. It's about someone that's been around for a while. It's a lot of new brands that they would pay whatever amount of money you want, and then your reputation is completely done. Because if it's not a good product, you're absolutely done. You're selling something you can tell you're getting paid. So that's my main concern when it comes to brand. I need to believe in the brand. I need to try it first. I would never agree to anything before I haven't tried first. So that is, for me, is a red flag when an influencer, you can tell the person is it's a brand that nobody knows, and they're posting that brand every day because obviously they're getting paid, but they're ruining their reputation because it's a brand that nobody knows. And then you don't even have proof where, if it doesn't have a legacy, it's not been around for a while, it's very hard to work with a known brand. So,
I also think, I always say to any brand that I'm going to work with, sign with anything, you got to be my friend. I like to work with people that I like, because we're going to have a lot of hard conversations. We're going to have a lot of discussions. We're going to be talking a few times a month, so to work with someone and them to have no ego, where we have synchronicity, right? So we work well together. That's first and foremost. I think secondly is vague terms when it comes to contracts, and especially vague terms when it comes to exclusivity.
We've worked on a lot together.
Yes. And with our contracts that we've done, Richard, if a company wants exclusivity, they have to pay for exclusivity. We can have a contract where I can have other friends and I can work in other facets of the industry or even tools alike. But if they want exclusivity, that's a whole other price tag. That's a whole other budget for me to withdraw, not having the opportunity to work with other brands.
I've coined my law firm, Richard Corey Enterprise Law, RC Enterprise Law. The definition of an enterprise is systematic, purposeful activity towards a strategic objective. How would you take that and apply it to the realm of personal branding in the social media landscape?
Well, that's a very good question. You're the expert, so I would need more recommendations from you when it comes to my business. It's just hard. You have to be very careful in every move because, like I say, in the main industry, I'm working with so many brands. It get complicated, and I love everything Olivia mentioned is so true. It's a partnership, and you have to be willing to open in a way to work with these people and listen and how you're gonna send the message from their brand. So it's a lot of relationship. At the end of the day, it's a win-win for both. So you just want to make the relationship work.
When you're speaking to somebody just getting started, especially a young woman who would look up to very successful entrepreneurs like you, what is a mistake that someone could make that could kill their brand overnight?
Olivia?
Being inauthentic. I think that being inauthentic, not delivering on a promise. I think just also chasing like trends that are loosely connected to something that maybe doesn't benefit you at all. So let me give you an example, like in the beauty world. If I make a hair hack, or I do like hair science also with my videos, and it doesn't actually work, like I will not post it. There's been so many times I've made videos and I've probably spent an hour on them with my videographer, and I look at her and I go, this didn't work. Like I can't post this. And it's the integrity of it. So if you don't have integrity, it might get you a few views in the very beginning, but it will catch up to you.
People will realize that it's almost fraudulent. It's not real, and it's not an authentic.
And they'll call you out.
Well, they should. What about you, Ibis? What are your thoughts?
It's exactly the same. Like I get a lot of like accessories that say a cutter or lighter. If it doesn't work, doesn't work. So sometimes, you're promoting something and you're like, okay, this is not really what I thought it would be. And then it gets to the point of the hard conversation, like, hey, listen, it's not really working. So I would say it's just you have to be very clear when you choose the partnership because it would ruin your brand 100%.
Sure. All right, last question. What are some of the tactics that you would employ to stand out in a saturated market? If you go on Instagram or any of these social media platforms, there's hundreds, if not thousands of people all doing the same thing. How would you stand out in a saturated market? Like, how did you two go from, starting out to having hundreds of thousands of followers and a fan base all over the world?
I always say is to bring value to your followers. So the value will be what are you teaching? So I always try to share my knowledge, like cool facts about cigars, about whiskey, and they love that. I used to have a trivia, so they would answer the questions like, do you know this about this cigar? So the way I see it is you have to be unique. So a lot of people, that just a pretty face is smoking a cigar, and you need more than that to grow. You need to have the knowledge, you need to have the passion. So this is the industry with a lot of passion, and I have so much respect for the leaf and everything behind, like the whiskey. And it's so hard to make a cigar. It's like 500 people behind one single cigar, and people don't know that.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, the process is absolutely insane. By the time you get a cigar in your hand, it's been like 3-4 years. So, it's a lot of work, and it's people, they don't have the knowledge. That is something that I see in this industry. So I always try to advocate, like, okay, how can I share a little bit of something so they feel, hey, I learned something new about cigars today, So that's what makes me different. And I always try to everyone to find what is going to make you different, and you should take advantage of it.
What about you, Olivia?
It's my 3 C's that I teach in my social media class, which is content, context, and consistency. And the context is the value added. You have to also show your face. And if you really want to stand out, that is the trick, because there is so much research that holds water about you showing your face, that voices coming out of mouths and storytelling is what gets people to stop scrolling. So there's a lot of psychology that goes into making a standout brand on top of attention span and creating that value. But the most important one is if you're making a really good video once every month and you're not constantly staying in people's algorithms or on their feeds, your consistency, if that lacks, you will never stand out because people will never see you.
Well, both of you have given us some really valuable insights, some very valuable information. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We got to wrap it up. I want to thank you both for being here. We're probably going to have to get together again and do episode 2, because I know there is a lot more that we can get from you and a lot more information that could be very helpful to people in your industries. So I want to thank you for tuning in to Enterprise Unleashed, Business Law and Innovation with Richard Corey. Today, I want to thank my guests, Ibis Luis and Olivia Thompson. And to connect with me, you can look me up at www.rcenterpriselaw.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe. For those who want to reach out to Olivia, what's your Instagram?
At OMG Artistry.
And at Cigar Lover?
Cigar Lover 12.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you, ladies. I hope you have a good day. I look forward to getting you back on the show.